Good morning, traders. Welcome to the Bookmap Platform Details webinar. This is Bruce at Bookmap. The risk disclaimer: trading futures, equities, and digital currencies involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right, so what we do in this webinar is we introduce you to Bookmap. We go through, define what it is, who uses it, how to connect it to the markets, how to get it, and then we start to look at the, some of the resources that are available to you, other resources, and then we look at the Bookmap interface in the live market and start to define the elements on the chart so you know what you're looking at. Then we start to look at some of the basics in the order flow, how Bookmap is visualizing them and gives you an edge by understanding that visualization. Okay, that's our uniqueness here, we'll go through it. That said, there is an advanced order flow education or webinar that comes right after this webinar here at 11 a.m. Eastern. It goes through much more advanced order flow concepts. We've moved beyond the basics. Now, in order to get access to that, you do need to subscribe. It is for our customers. They get education with the product. Okay, there's a 4-part educational course, and then they get the advanced order flow webinars so that they can start to learn and understand what it looks like in the live environment and start to get accustomed to that. So they can also make intelligent trading decisions based on the visualization in Bookmap. Okay, so it's a 2-part educational package that you get. The course always available, and then the follow-up with the advanced order flow webinars. Okay, well, let's jump into bookmap.com and take a look here and define what Bookmap is. Okay, so what is Bookmap? We are a software trading platform. We have a unique way of visualizing the order flow activity, and that is our strength. All right, let's continue on down. Who uses Bookmap? Day traders, scalpers, swing traders, and quants. They all use it, even position traders, just because the visualization is extended on much higher time frames. Okay, so very low time frames for scalpers on up to very high time frames. It's all still usable, and I'll demonstrate that for you. Okay, get an edge in the markets. You can read more about this here, okay, because we're going to go through it on our own here in the webinar. Okay, and then let's take a look here at connectivity, because we need to understand how to connect to the markets. Well, Bookmap connects to 3 different markets: futures, US equities, and digital currencies. Okay, now, the data for the digital currencies is free, but we're not a data provider nor a broker. Okay, so for US equities and for futures, you will need to provide the data. Okay, it's pretty typical in the industry. So the way that you connect with stocks or US equities is through DXV. That's the only way right now. For futures, you have multiple choices with Rhythmic, CQG, Gain Capital, Transact, IQ, Feed, Nanotick, and Cedro. All are available. Cedro's for the Brazilian markets. Then you can also see some platforms here. You can connect Bookmap via the API of these 3 platforms: Interactive Brokers Traders Workstation, NinjaTrader 7 and 8, and TTX Trader Pro. Okay, so you can connect via the API of these 3 as well. But we're a platform just like they are, so bypass all of their code, go directly with the data provider like Rhythmic or CQG, and you'll get better data. Okay, so some testimonials a bit further down. Let's go over some of the pricing and packages here. You can subscribe monthly, or you can click here and subscribe yearly. All right, so you can see there's 2 different versions for digital and 2 different for global. So let's make the distinction. Digital is for digital currencies. Global is for the global markets, all of them. Okay, digital currencies, US equities, and futures. Okay, so let's go over the first one, digital here. It is free. You only get access, though, to 1 digital currency at a time. The data is free, and the market's always open. So you can always access a live market in Bookmap, even over the holidays and weekends. That's just how digital currencies work. All right, so You only get basic education and limited support here as well, but you also get a U.S. equities delayed feed, so you can always check that out too. But if you want live data, well, then I would recommend going with the global version here. Just try it for a month for 49 bucks, connect your data, and then take a look at it. Okay, so you're not out much money, and you get to at least try and see what Bookmap is all about in the live environment. All right, so the Digital Plus version, let's go over that. It's again for just digital currencies, but you can trade right from the Bookmap chart into your GDAX or BitMEX account. You can record and replay your data. And since it connects to multiple currency exchanges, you get 20 instruments per exchange, and you get the advanced education and full support. Okay, the global version here, let's make the big distinction between digital and global. Global allows you everything in Digital Plus, but it includes the ability to connect futures and US equities. You just will need to provide the data for those, okay? Global Plus, what this allows is access to all of our proprietary add-on indicators. One is the live trading, one-click trading from the chart right into your funded account. We have a large lot tracker looking at larger players in the order book. We have some imbalance indicators for the book and volume, and we have iceberg detector looking again at larger players hiding their liquidity from you with an iceberg order, but we can detect them with our algo, and then correlation tracker, adding different markets onto the Bookmap chart. All right, a bit further down, just go over some resources, some blog posts here, then our Twitter account, all sorts of information here every day. You can see a setup here about Apple, for example, yesterday, interview with a small cap trader here in San Marino, okay, excellent trader, and then some retweets of other traders, etc. And our YouTube channel, you can look at some of the, I would recommend watching some of the playlists here on the homepage. There's the Bookmap intro videos here, some features and components, some selected webinars, and order flow video snippets. I think you'll find these helpful here for you. The order flow video snippets go into detail, but very concise videos, but the concepts of some of the order flow that Bookmap visualizes. This is what's going to help you. These are the edges that you're going to get in the market. All right, so let's take a look at Bookmap, okay, and jump right in, and let's simplify the chart to begin with. Okay, let's just take our point of control off here, and then we also have our just some of the add-on indicators I want to take off the chart just to make this very, very simple, so we can define these elements on the chart. Okay. I think I'm going to go over some of the columns data here. We've had some questions about this recently, so we'll start to go over some of these. And some of the features, and let me know if you have questions on some of the features. Okay, so the columns data, we haven't really covered this in quite a while. Looking at the elements here on the Bookmap chart, pretty straightforward stuff. It looks like a lot of data here. I just want to say though, this is very objective market data information here. It's the heat map here is one element on the chart, what that represents the order book. Okay, both current here in this window and then historical. Okay, so all we're doing is taking the limit orders here in the order book. Okay, this is your dome over here. We're taking those, we're recording them, we're taking these numeric values here, creating a heat map based on the scale of the high liquidity here, and then we're recording that and place it on the chart historically. Okay, so let's zoom in just a little bit and I'll go over this. So look up here at 60 or 76.25, you see 70 contracts, 80 contracts. Okay, well, these are sellers up here. Okay, it's a lot of liquidity. Therefore, the heat map here is orange. Okay, scale is up here. So red, orange is very high liquidity, and then yellow is less, then white, then blue, and then black is the least. Right? So what this allows us to do is very quickly make a graphical representation of the liquidity here in the order book. And that's all it is. right? In this window here with your best bid and offer right here and your price ladder, and this number here is the last traded volume. Okay, so looking at this, we can very quickly understand areas of liquidity, and then we can see the numbers change, the heat map changes. So we can start to understand the behavior of the sellers up above current price and the buyers down below. And we just traded through some of this high liquidity here, and we're coming back to retest where we just broke out from here. Okay? And let's see if buyers step in again here. Okay, because not a bad move, about 2 or 3 points or so. Okay, so looking for buyers to step back in and maybe test the high up here again at 27. Okay, and we're almost there, just to tick away from 27. Looks like sellers are going to come back in and try to take it down below the area where we just broke out from. Anyway, we'll follow this and see what goes on here. Anyway, so we've covered the heat map. And the other two elements on the chart, well, we're just going over the best bid and offer here. We record that and we place it on the chart here. So there's no aggregated data here. It's just best bid and offer going back and forth. No candlesticks, no periodicity of data, right? A candlestick's going to give you some sort of period. It could be a volume period. It could be a range period, a range bar. It could be a time period. That's the most typical. So 5 minutes of data, for example, you're only looking at 4 data points within those 5 minutes, open, high, low, and close. It's very opaque. It cuts you off from a lot of the microstructure and the volume, understanding where the volume traded very specifically. Right? Like these kinds of moves up here to the this breakout here, you're just going to see a candlestick. It's not going to give you the insight. In fact, we can put a candlestick on here and demonstrate it here. Okay, so we really don't know, what really kind of occurred in some of these areas, where the volume traded, how much, what type, and then how does it relate to some of this microstructure here? And you certainly don't see where they're bidding and offering, especially historically here. Okay, now that heat map, we can zoom out here and we can start to understand this heat map on much higher time frames now. Okay, where are they bidding and offering? Where they're interested in buying and selling, and if they got filled or not. Okay. Anyway, we can go over the higher time frame here in a minute. Let's just go over the volume now because what these dots are. Okay, so let's zoom into this area here. Well, you can see the red line here. This is the best ask, and the green line is the best bid. That's it. Very, very simple, straightforward. The dots here, well, this represents the aggressor, the market buy and sell orders. So when we saw it trade into this high liquidity here, well, this is what it looks like. Okay, traded right into it here. We had how many contracts here? 59. Okay, well, looks like 57 of those traded. Okay? You can see the transactions take place and liquidity drops, and then more transactions down to nothing. Okay, at this point down to 56. Okay. And then that was enough here for them to sweep the price 1 tick higher. This is how price moves in the markets. Okay? They took all the liquidity here. Okay? Here it is in front of us. And they moved it and they still wanted to buy. So they bought now at the next price level. Okay? And let's see, well, they didn't take enough here to lift the offer anymore. Instead, sellers came in and they started to hit the bid. Anyway, it's just how price moves. Back and forth, and we're displaying all the details here. Okay, it's all here. Okay, you can get the numeric values. This dot here is for volume of 20, etc. It's if you want to look at that data, it's here. It's broken down down to the nanosecond level. All right. Okay, let's zoom out a bit more here and check out and see what's going on. So we know that these guys down here at this 76.25 level here, that they're short. Yeah, they got what they wanted. They provided their liquidity with their limit orders and they traded. It went against them, it went through, but so far looks like they're in profit at this point. Okay, and then maybe it'll trade down into like 20 here. Okay? In fact, look at that. Look at this big skew in the book we just witnessed here. One individual actor here did that. Okay, trying to get this price down here probably into our 20 area here, and look what happened. In fact, interesting stuff here. Okay, so as soon as this guy comes in, it's followed, or almost comes in and then followed very quickly afterwards with sell volume here. Hitting the bid, pretty quickly, pretty hard, right? There's buying in here as well, though, as you can see it. Right, so we know that our large lot tracker here, these 216 contracts here, well, looks like to me about 215 or maybe 210 of them is one individual actor. Right, we come up and looks like the buyers take this guy on here, or try to, right, and they trade into that area. And what happened to this guy here? He pulled his liquidity. Okay, 17 contracts altogether trade here. On both buy and sell, but 216, well, we don't see it, right? So he had no intent to trade. This guy here is looking to me like he wants to skew the order book. He's trying to maybe get price down lower here, but he does not want to trade. Okay, we can make that distinction, right? And then now we're starting to see the move to the upside. Okay, so some pretty tricky stuff here. It's FOMC today, so we're going to see a lot of stuff like this, I imagine, in today's price action before the economic event. Okay, it's a big one. It's a quarterly, so look for the fireworks at 2 p.m. here Eastern time. All right, well, let's go over some of the columns and the details in the columns here. Some of the specific column data here, all right? So we're looking at, in the Bookmap columns here, the COB column, that stands for current order book. And this is liquidity here on the offer, and then liquidity down here on the bid. Right, now, if I right click in a column, you can look at all the different configurations here. What you can configure the column, but you can also see that we have all sorts of choices here. Okay. Now, it depends on what kind of column you come from. If you want to look at, like for example, see how I have choices here for session and chart range accumulated, and I also have some reset capabilities here. Right now, if I right click on and configure the column or just right click in my choices here for the COB column, you can see that they're much more limited. I don't have those other choices. Okay? Instead, I have the configuration and then all the different data types here, and then I can insert a new column or I can hide this column. It's up to me. All right, and then let's right click in this column, and then you can see that what this column is showing here from the radio buttons is volume. It's a volume column, and it's a chart range accumulated volume column. And what does that mean? Well, it's showing the volume profile here. Okay, if we just left click here, it's showing the volume profile here of my viewable chart range. And that's what it's displaying in this column. Okay, CVP, it stands for chart range volume profile. Right now, if I right click again, I have these choices here. I can turn this into session accumulated. Okay, and the distinction here is that now I'm looking at all of the volume that accumulated since I opened up my Bookmap. Okay, and SVP stands for session range volume profile. Okay, so let's turn this back to chart range, and you can see all the different other data types here. You can see there's a trades counter, a quotes counter, a quotes delta. There's a trading dome here, all sorts of new columns, some notes columns here, custom notes and cloud notes, and time and sales as well. Okay, so time and sales just scrolling back and forth. And then of course down below here, you can see the insert and hide column. All right, so let's go through some of the reset configurations here. So we can look at and reset some of the data that's in this column. So why would you want to do that, right? Well, you might want to reset your column here so that and refresh it so that you can start to see exactly what's trading right now. And you don't want that data to be aggregated from other previous data. Okay, so if we reset it now we're starting to understand like what's going on currently right here in this little micro move to the downside and who might be in control. Okay, and starting to see some buying coming in, for example, right here, right? Gives us insight. Okay, so what if we exhaust out here? I'm looking for maybe buyers to step in and maybe we'll come right back up into this liquidity here at 19.5. No, doesn't look like it. Well, we can still get it though. We can still see buyers come in here. Let's see. Okay, yeah, see how they're testing these guys? All right, see now, let's see if we get up to 19.5. Okay, maybe up to about 20 here, 19.75. And then I'm looking to see if the sellers come back in or the buyers just exhaust out. Okay, if we see the buyers come in, I'm looking for the next level up here. Okay, around 21.25 or so. Okay, so we're through that little area already. All right, now let's see if we can go a little bit higher here. Okay, so you can see how you can use the reset to your advantage, reset some of these areas here. Maybe you want to reset it again. So I just right click again, click on reset, and then start to look again at who might be in control here. Okay, another method you can use is to right click here. Let's configure the column. Okay, and then let's split out the data down here, okay, from style option here. We're going to split it out. And now we have it split out by the aggressor. Okay? Instead of as a profile, we're looking at buyers versus sellers. Okay, and from when we reset the volume again, look at, there's many more buyers up here. Okay, so maybe we'll get our quick move back up into kind of this 21 and almost 22, maybe 21.75 area here. Okay, starting to understand the behavior in some of these microstructures. All right, let's see if we can get one more swing here and maybe that can come up and test into that area. Okay. Now you're starting to see how the that reset is showing us here. Now it's added a lot more data in here, okay? And we're starting to see sellers starting to come in instead, right? And right when I started to speak, I started to see them come in. It's just that we've moved already pretty quickly. It started to equal out this area here. So there's no more kind of bias here to the upside any longer. You can see that the sellers came in, right? Now the sellers are taking control and then starting to hit the bid here, okay, down below. And you can see that they are in control here. No, I'm sorry, so shifting very, very quickly. They were in control here, and then right away, we look at these large transactions that just came in and large volume that just traded. Okay, now we're shifting over to the buyer side. We're looking for the swing here to be tested. Okay, let's see if we can get that. There's a lot of volume there compared to some of the other areas. So let's try to get up here again. Let's see if we can even now reach our other area up here around 21.5. Okay, now note what's going on here. Note how they're pulling, okay, on the offer. Okay, we've just tested into our area here. So there's a quick scalp. And just by reading this, understanding this, okay, and understanding our chart range volume profile here with the aggressor, right? And let's reset it again now. Okay, and I'm just going over the simplest one here, and that's just reset. Okay, reset now, there's many different resettings here that you can use. Okay, so we can click here and we can go over some of them here. So reset now, we've done that many times. The reset configuration, all right, or we can, well, let's just go over that one first. We can schedule resets. Okay, you can schedule the reset by here at a time, okay, a specific time, or at a period, okay, at a specific period here, or at your session restart here, or session start, okay, and then your session times here. Well, it's showing here at 8 o'clock Eastern time here. But let's click on this, and you can change your setting here if you want. All right. Okay, so you have all sorts of reset options here for those data columns, or for at least the volume here. Right, and there's a conditional reset as well. Okay, this is a great one, highly requested, to be able to, if, for example, let's just go through the condition. Right, reset the level if time between two events on this level is more than 2.5 seconds or 2,500 milliseconds. Okay, so if the time between two events at a very specific price level is more than that, then reset it. Okay, what this allows you to do is, let's say you're looking at a micro range up here, for example. Okay, and it quickly goes up above it and then comes back down. Well, then it won't reset, right? This will keep that kind of break of that range. Very quick break of it and then back into the range. It won't reset the data. Okay? So what this allows you to do instead is to, if there was a bit more time that passes, okay, and it goes outside of that range, for example, then it will reset. Okay, and then this is going to be based on the aggressor here, which means the limit buy, the market buy orders. All right, so you have that capability here as well. So very, very feature rich here in Bookmap, right? Okay, well, we saw some pretty good stuff there, in fact, just by looking at some of that microstructure in Bookmap. Now, this is more, to be honest, this is more of what we go through in the advanced order flow webinars. We're just covering the feature here in some detail here, but we saw this whole thing begin right here, right? And we saw the volume. Okay? And it happened pretty quickly, right? We were looking for our move up into some of these areas, maybe up to here. We didn't get it. It came back down, and then the buyers really stepped in here. We understood it. We knew it. We're looking for that test to back up to here, and then look at the behavior in the book. They pulled. We still see more buyers here, and they stepped up again here. Okay? And they're in control, taking this to higher levels. Excuse me, I just had to sneeze there. And they're still looking in control here, trying to take it back up into, let's see, where? Well, the swing here, looking good. And we're seeing some pretty good volume up there. Okay, now we need to see if we can get a breakout of the range here. We'll probably get a little bit of a pullback here, I imagine. Maybe down to about 25 or so. But anyway, we got to wrap it up here. Just was going through some of the, we're going to do this more often in the platform details webinar. I start to cover some of the different features and components here. Okay. All right, guys. Well, if you're a subscriber, we'll see you in the next webinar that starts in just a minute. Else, we'll catch up with you tomorrow.